Another ho-hum night in the books in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center on a Wednesday. Nope, it was not ho-hum at all. It's Notre Dame week. Tim May, the 40-year vet, Andy Backstrom. I am Spencer Holbrook. Let's get into it, fellas. Tim, 3 days until kickoff, 2 days if you're, depending on when you're watching this.
Let's just say it's a few days away.
Yeah, a few days away. Notre Dame, Saturday. Whenever you're watching this, it better not be Sunday because it'd be outdated. Tim, big takeaway from Wednesday night in the Woody after talking to a gaggle of players.
Cal McCord's ready for this game. I asked Cade Stover if he was ready for this game. By ready for this game, I don't mean he's ready to play it. He's ready to really rock and roll. Feels pretty confident about what this how this offense has progressed the first 3 weeks. Feels pretty confident with where he is in the playbook, and he should. He's been here for 3 years. But it's important for your quarterback to have some feeling of confidence that he's going to go into a hostile atmosphere, primetime television, battle of top 10 teams, and be able to deliver the goods. This is going to be the toughest defense they've gone against so far from a total standpoint. The atmosphere is going to be crazy, but it matters when your quarterback feels good about the way things are going.
Yeah, it was one of the most interesting moments so far this year, I think, of a Woody Wednesday when you asked Marvin Harrison Jr., Andy, great question, when he realized that Kyle McCord was one of those cool cats, cool customers, however you want to say it, very just,
nonchalant,
low key in these moments. And I thought the answer was pretty insightful.
Yeah, he said he was back sophomore year of high school against St. Francis Academy. It's a powerhouse high school, just like St. Joe's Prep in Philadelphia. And it was at that matchup that he realized, like, okay, he's just with it. He's not making this into anything bigger than it needs to be. And I think that's the key about this week is that Kyle McCord prepares every week like it's the same thing. He's won 3 state titles in high school. He's been in these big games. We talked about it yesterday on the video. He hasn't played in these big games yet, but he's been there. He's been part of the preparation for those weeks. And he's been one play away for all of those games. So he had to prepare like the starter, just like he is this week. Obviously, it's different when getting more reps. But I think Marvin Harrison Jr. also had a really, really insightful thing to say about playing on an injured ankle last year, which, gets everyone's antenna up, right? If you could be that good with an injured ankle, what could you do next year? Now, Cade Stover made the point, everyone's a little bit dinged up in a football season. Everyone plays a little bit hurt.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think it's interesting because we've already seen Marv use the burners this year, touchdowns of 75 yards, touchdown of 71 yards, and he leads all the Big Ten wide receivers in yards after the catch right now. That was his goal going into the season, to be better after the catch. I just wonder how much that extra gear he gets fully healthy.
Yeah, it's funny because when he took off on that end around or jet, whatever you want to call it, on Saturday, they got called back. Too bad, because that was a hell of a play by him and others. Remember, I was up in the press box and I said, he's now at 22.1 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I mean, the fastest man in football that one weekend, which is crazy. Yeah, I would say the great players always love this kind of situation, a big-time game.
Yeah, he also said that he loves playing on the road. Something about being the villain, being by yourself, just being on the road. He said, don't get me wrong, I love Buckeye Nation, but I love being on the road. This team, very obviously, is embracing all of this. The top 10, the people from around college football picking Notre Dame. That doesn't happen often when teams play Ohio State. The being on the road, the being in an environment, being the second fiddle at quarterback in this matchup. Whatever it is, this team is fully embracing it. And it's a loose bunch. It's a focused bunch. It's a bunch that I think feels quite confident going across the western border here and getting work done.
It's funny, the only group that hasn't gotten on board with this, going in a hostile environment and people against you is the odds makers.
Yeah.
Ohio State's favorite. Let's don't forget that. And that's
so
interesting.
Weird. It's so weird.
Well, odds makers look at a lot of things, and you still got to believe from top to bottom, and I've said this the other day, Ohio State is the top to bottom, deepest, more talented team. There are certain areas of Ohio State you still want to see come on more and more, like the offensive line, et cetera. For example, you want to see the quarterback play to the level he needs to play to on Saturday night, just like he did last week against Western Kentucky. But, everybody's going to be watching, is Ohio State for real?
Yeah.
Because there are still doubters out there. They're not just doubting Colorado. Maybe Ryan Day ought to tell us if he wins on Saturday night, are you a believer?
Do you believe?
Still that line, man. Still that line.
Do you believe?
Because, they obviously dropped in the polls at, 2 straight weeks at one point. So, yeah, there are people that need to be convinced about Ohio State on Saturday night.
Yeah, I just think it's so weird because the narrative around this game is that there are folks in the desert who obviously believe that Ohio State is much more talented, I think just because of recruiting rankings alone and top-end talent. But there are a lot, and I mean a lot of analysts. I'm a college football consumer more than anything. I love the sport. I listen to a lot of things. I watch a lot of things. There are a lot of people who believe Notre Dame is going to win this football game. That's a very good thing for the people in this building, Andy.
It's going to be a tall task. I mean, look, Kyle McCord talked about the cornerbacks that Notre Dame has. This secondary, and especially the whole back seven for Notre Dame, is pretty impressive. Ryan Day said it on Tuesday. There's NFL players back there. And Kyle McCord was mentioning, look, we all talk about Benjamin Morrison. Cam Hart is another corner for them. He played against in high school.
Yeah.
So he knows how good this secondary can be for Notre Dame. It's a test for him. But I honestly think it's also a test for this offensive line. And Donovan Jackson was out here. I know you guys were talking to him for a little bit. This is a real challenge to really make a statement. They haven't faced a truly great run defense yet, and they haven't been super effective on the run. And this is not an elite run defense for Notre Dame, but it's far better than anything they've seen so far. And I wonder just how much of a tone they can set on the ground this week in a game where style points don't matter, number of possessions don't matter, how quickly you score doesn't matter. All that matters is if you win. And I think part of that winning equation for Ryan Day is probably running the ball and setting the tone there.
Of course it is. I mean, this is the kind of game where even Ohio State wants to be efficient on offense, score, but also, for want of another term, eat some clock. I mean, I'm really curious. I want to see him in person. I'm really curious about how good Sam Hartman is. He is quite impressive watching him on television. But when you're watching on television, you still don't get to watch everything else that's going on, before, during, and after a play and stuff. And I think everyone's taken, everybody's been distracted by what's going on in Colorado, and for it's a great story going on out there. But Sam Hartman is having a hell of a start to his first year ever at Notre Dame, and Saturday night, man, if things go the way Notre Dame wants them to go, there it could be a huge shakeup in the Heisman category. Of course, Ohio State wants to prevent that, and indeed wants to boost Kyle McCord back up where he was at one point, in the spring or something.
Yeah.
Before he started drifting down and went through the quarterback battle with Devin Brown. So, I'm excited. I love these kind of games. I love watching guys just like that Georgia game last year with Ohio State. Guys in this kind of environment, in this kind of spotlight, the guys who step up and make plays. It's just like last year with Marvin Harrison Jr. Everybody, all your good guys, all your great players have to make some plays on Saturday night to come out of a game like this.
Yeah, Ohio State needs number 6 to make some plays on offense and on defense, I guess, but especially on offense. Kyle McCord has to be very good, and that starts up front with the offensive line, like you said. Donovan Jackson talked about, a couple different people wanted Donovan Jackson to confirm the Justin Fry violence storyline from last week. And I thought it was a good message for Justin Fry to come deliver to us so that we could tell the players in the locker room through our stories. I think that was pretty clear. Justin Fry was saying, be more violent, not really talking to us. I think he was talking to his players there. The message was received, but in a different way. Donovan Jackson wouldn't go as far as to say they played more violent. He just said they executed more. I think there's a good clarification there. More violence could have meant more penalties. More violence could have meant another illegal hands to the face by Josh Simmons. More violence could have meant a grabby offensive line that was just trying to chuck guys around. No, they executed better. And I thought it was really insightful from Donovan Jackson to take that violence question and turn it into a lesson on discipline and execution, which gives me some confidence going into this that they're pretty locked in. They think they've got some kinks worked out on that offensive line. And then to couple what both of you guys said, I wrote a story at Lettermen Row on Wednesday. I kind of dug into the numbers on Sam Hartman. This is his 50th start. This is Kyle McCord's 5th. They both have as many top 10 wins as the other, though. Sam Hartman's never beaten a top 10 team. He has wins over 2 different ranked programs. That was at Wake Forest, where you don't have a roster like he has at Notre Dame now. I completely understand that. But
Wake Forest kind of ran out of players as the year went along, when he was there. You know what I mean? It was a typical annual thing.
Yeah.
Because guys would get banged up and they didn't have as deep a roster clearly as Notre Dame has, for example. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, Kyle McCord can use this all to his advantage, where everyone's talking about Sam Hartman and how good he is, but he has as many top 10 wins as Kyle McCord. And if Kyle McCord can channel that and say, like, I can do this, I can win on the biggest stage, I can go into this environment and win, that's something that's going to play into Ohio State's favor. It's just so many things come down to just, we're going to keep hammering it home, but if 6 plays well on Saturday night, Ohio State's got a really good chance to walk out with a win.
And the point about that, because I asked Justin Fry that question about, was it consistency, was it aggressiveness that you were looking for, in that game last week? And he said the word, I was asking for like a little tag word, he said the word is violent. You want to play violent. Violent in a football parlance means finish. Get on your guy, let your guy know you're on him, and finish, whether it's offense or defense. And obviously, Ryan Day asked for that at halftime of the Rose Bowl 2 years ago and got it. Ryan Day was the one that basically brought it up again this past week with his coaches and his players. Get out there and get after it is basically what play violent. It isn't like number 11 for Colorado State who takes out the best player on the Colorado roster the other night. That was Travis Hunter. That was malicious. There's the difference between malicious and violent. Violent means finish, and it definitely Ryan Day wants to see that on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's execution on both sides of the ball up front. It's a game of line of scrimmage, all these matchup games, like they like to say. And then with the defensive line, Tyleik Williams, we got to talk to him today. He's been a monster through 3 games, guys. 17 total tackles. That's 4 shy of his career high. Yeah. We're 3 games in. And he was talking today about how, just endurance-wise, that's something he's worked on every year he's been here. This is his 3rd year now. And staying on the field for him was a real challenge. Came in a little bit overweight and struggled with that. This year, he's in shape. He's playing a lot of snaps. It's been mainly over 30, 35 snaps a game. And he says it's just nice knowing that you don't have to walk off to the sideline, heavy breathing, knowing they're subbing in someone else for you.
Yeah, what's interesting? You remember that the one practice we got to watch the whole practice of, and he didn't get to participate because he was in here working out, and you're kind of going, oh no, here you go again with Tyleik Williams, just he's banged up or whatever. And boy, he has come out of the gate big time. And so getting those rare glimpses, sometimes it, can give you the wrong picture, if you understand what I'm saying. And the guy we were all talking about in preseason was Mike Hall. We're talking about Ty Hamilton. We're talking about Tywan Malone coming up from Ole Miss and adding depth to that situation, and some other guys. But it's Tyleik Williams who has emerged the first 3 weeks as a true possible game breaker, especially on Saturday night when, as we've spoken about before, pressure up the middle on this quarterback is going to be paramount.
Tim, you talk about game changers, and let me tell you about a game changer of my own. I switched to the Bird Dogs khaki shorts and the Bird Dogs gym shorts. Fellas, game changer, okay? I'm just warning you.
Don't get too graphic.
I'm just telling you, they're a game changer. They're super comfortable. I don't even have to wear underwear because they're built into these shorts.
Graphic.
It's just incredible. He's got the hat on. The polo is just as nice. I'm not going to tell you my golf score, but I played golf the other day in the polo. Wonderful experience, even though
the point is, no matter what you shoot, you still feel good and look good.
I'm telling you, Tim, the sand just kind of brushes right off of it after those countless bunker shots I couldn't get out of there.
I'm with you.
Spend more time in the sand than David Hasselhoff, but I do it in a Bird Dogs polo.
Me, it's leaves from the woods.
I do it in a Bird Dogs polo. Tim does it in a Bird Dogs hat because we love the folks over at Bird Dogs. Go on over to birddogs.com/LR right now and get a free Hydro Flask style water bottle. Yes, a free Hydro Flask style water bottle. Those things are incredible. No sweat on them. You can just take them to the gym. You can take them again to the golf course. Fill them with whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. And don't tell the greenskeeper what's in there either. But the Hydro Flask style water bottle can be yours with the promo code LR at checkout at birddogs.com. Or if you just go to birddogs.com/LR, you get that on your first purchase. That is birddogs.com/LR. These shorts, incredible. You know what else is incredible, guys? The atmosphere on Saturday night. I'm going to keep talking about it. It's going to be awesome. Tim, just
you're already overwhelmed by it. So you don't even know what to ask me.
I am. Just general thoughts. As we get a day closer on maybe just one more lean before we get to Friday when we talk about bowl predictions.
Yeah. I mean, I've been lucky to have gone to several games there covering them. way back when Bill Fralick, for example, was playing for Pitt, before I started covering Ohio State football. And it was a different stadium then. I really loved that stadium back then. I mean, Newt Rockne helped design it way back, and obviously died in that tragic plane crash. But what plane crash isn't tragic? That was kind of stupid. But the bottom line is, what a setting. When they added the shell, the rising shell around it, and made it a much larger stadium from a capacity standpoint, from going from like 59,000 or 60,000 up to 80-something thousand. I'm not sure they didn't lose a little bit of that pure ambiance. You can still see Touchdown Jesus, but barely, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And but it's still Notre Dame. The campus there, if you're going to the game, get there early and walk around campus. The steak sandwiches you can buy that some fraternity puts together every game time right there on whatever they call their oval or wherever it is. I mean, there are all these things you can experience that are so cool, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful campus. I've always said this, back in the day when football was tradition laden, if you ever made a visit to Notre Dame, I was always wondering, why would you go anywhere else? Well, Joe Namath answered that question way back in 1960 when he was getting recruited by Notre Dame and Alabama and some other schools. He was really infatuated with Notre Dame. That's where people thought he was going to go. But his big line was, back then it was not co-ed. They had College of Lake St. Mary's across the lake. And his big line was, I'm not going anywhere where you got to swim to get to your date, which was great. So he went to, where'd you go?
He went to Alabama?
He went to Alabama. And but the point is, it's a beautiful place. And this is going to be quite the atmosphere on a Saturday night. It's supposed to be beautiful, beautiful weather. That's enough of my commercial for them.
Closing thoughts.
It's a matchup game. That's the narrative this year. We're hearing the words over and over again. Coach Knowles, Coach Day, pretty much everyone in this building.
Explain what they mean by that.
It's a game that you can't lose. It's two high-quality opponents matching up against each other. And
high-quality players matching up. I mean,
exactly.
Every play you're going against a guy who might be almost or maybe better than you.
Yeah. I mean, how many of them do you have on the schedule, right? So you got Notre Dame, Penn State's another one of those, Michigan's another one. And then if you play in the college football playoff, really any postseason game, that's another one of them.
Yeah,
so we're gonna
Wisconsin up there.
Maybe, yeah, but we're gonna keep hearing that word
Yeah.
over and over and over again. And I think they're just beating their chests to that. And Cade Stover, you asked him the question, Tim. You said these kinds of games. I mean, do you take a step back and think like, hey, when I was a kid, I wanted to play in these games?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I mean, I'm so in it right now. I don't think about that.
Right.
But when you put it like that, yeah, I mean, I would have killed to be in this game when I was 10 years old or whatever. And so these players feel it. They know it. They know what's coming. Of course, you got to be in it, like Cade Stover said. You got to be in the moment to win the game. But it is a huge atmosphere, and I can't wait personally to get there.
The thing to keep in mind, the last time Ohio State played there, they were not intimidated by the setting. Matter of fact, they were probably more juiced. They won 29-16, if I remember correctly. I've got John Cooper on my podcast this week, the Tim May Show, talking about all of that, because he said, don't make them better than they are. That's his big line. But, sometimes the visiting team, we've seen that happen in Ohio Stadium, gets more juiced for a big game in Ohio Stadium than the players who play there 5 or 6 times a year do. And
I see it more often at Happy Valley with Ohio State.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yes. We'll talk about that before Penn State, I guess, but you're exactly right. That's what Iowa's walking into on Saturday.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we're not going to talk about that one because this show is safe for work.
But Iowa has the same colors as Pittsburgh Steelers.
Who beat the Cleveland Browns on Monday night? That's right.
I know, you're all happy.
All right, fellas, let's get out of here. The cool thing about these kind of games for Ohio State is Ohio State, the players, they prepare all year for games like this. They say this is why you come to Ohio State. This is why we do what we do too. And we're trying to bring the best coverage of it possible to LettermenRow.com. I think we're doing a pretty good job of that so far. But tell us in the comments what you think. Tell us on the message board, the Lettermen Lounge, what you think of the Buckeyes at Notre Dame on Saturday night, 7:30 on NBC. Again, just like the players, this is why we do what we do. We love talking about this stuff, and this is a game that I don't think I'd miss with the world. So I'm really excited to get over there, cover it with you guys, be a part of the Lettermen Row team. You can come be a member, part of the Lettermen Row team, and feel like you're there if you can't make it in that Lettermen Lounge on LettermenRow.com, where we cover the Buckeyes 365 days a year. We will see you Friday for those bold predictions, the boldest of them all, and we'll see you Saturday in South Bend.